Caitlin Clark appears to be hunted every game. She deals with physicality that no other player in the league is dealing with. The WNBA not stepping in to protect their cash cow, their only draw, their only star, and this is the end result.
Many WNBA fans are calling out the referee problem.
The referees literally turned their back.
They assured everyone she would transform the league. She was lauded as the emblem of what's to come. Yet, nobody foresaw that her greatest challenge could be the league itself. Within a handful of games, Caitlin Clark transitioned from being the celebrated star of the WNBA to the most reviled competitor on the court.
Caitlin Clark is the driving force behind the interest in the Fever and the interest in the WNBA.
With a quad injury.
It's shocking.
Rookie Caitlin Clark was subject to several intentional fouls.
Fouls her for the fourth time. It's cheating.
Bullets has emerged. How Caitlin Clark got hurt.
Caitlin Clark will be sidelined for at least 2 weeks.
And it wasn't only opposing teams. This situation surpassed the typical struggles of a newcomer. What emerged appeared far more intentional and significantly more hazardous.
After every single game, WNBA players, fans, coaches are all complaining about the referees, and they have shown that they're not going to change anything because the referees continue to be horrible.
Match after match, Caitlin endured fierce hits, was pushed to the floor, and was forced to continue despite a flood of missed whistles. The officials, entrusted with maintaining justice, merely watched like extras in a poor play. What began as rare mistakes rapidly escalated into a widespread neglect of calls, allowing obvious fouls to go unpenalized while Clark tumbled to the floor.
Head coach Stephanie White, she was complaining about her team not getting a whistle, not being respected.
Then arrived the moment everyone dreaded, Caitlin sidelined by a quad injury. Suddenly, fans found themselves reliving every missed foul, scrutinizing every unchecked play, and watching her every pleading glance toward the officials, desperately requesting a whistle that was never issued.
Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham going to the officials and trying to, ask for an explanation of what had just occurred. That official completely stonewalled them.
She will be out for 2 weeks minimum following a quad strain.
It ceased to seem mere misfortune. It began to appear deliberate. And just as the debate skyrocketed into a frenzy, suddenly, shocking reports emerged, peeling back the curtain to reveal just how deeply flawed and corrupt this officiating system truly is.
This is a WNBA problem, and as more and more eyeballs are watching this league, it becomes growingly an issue. The officiating feels you never have a true grasp on what it's going to be.
It turns out a significant portion of the league's referees are recruited from high school leagues, and they aren't even making calls based on their own judgment. No, the league depends on a secretive behind-the-scenes panel of GMS, coaches, and stakeholders, directing officials on just how physical they want the games to be.
He's not listening to them. They're not listening to the coaches. They're not listening to the players. They're not listening to the fans. They're listening to their stakeholders. That's why I keep saying nothing is going to change till the mindset and whoever's running all of this, the stakeholders, governance, whoever.
And Caitlin Clark finds herself right at the heart of this chaos, where power, pride, and money clash fiercely. After weeks of mounting fury, viral clips exploding across social media, and even coaches and players voicing their opposition, the WNBA is finally feeling the rising pressure.
Injury does anything. It should be a wake-up call to the WNBA, the Players Association, the team owners, that just like that, all this fanfare, all this interest, all this newfound attention on the league can disappear.
As rumors of lawsuits and whispers of referee favoritism swirl, the league's prized star, their golden goose, risks turning into their greatest liability unless swift action is taken. And now, the burning question: how far will they go to silence the very player they've been profiting from since day one?
Caitlin Clark is being roughed up, but the physical wear and tear on Caitlin Clark, I'm not surprised that 2 weeks into the season, she's already...
Caitlin Clark has never known how to shy away from a challenge. At Iowa, she shattered records, attracted millions of fans, and transformed women's basketball into a national sensation. So, when she entered the WNBA, everyone anticipated fireworks, not only from her spectacular play, but also from the buzz and energy she would bring to a league desperately in need of a miracle.
Who had appeared in 185 consecutive games between her career at Iowa and her time with the Indiana Fever. 139 games with the Iowa Hawkeyes. She never missed one.
2024 was a year of unprecedented growth in viewership in the WNBA, a substantial amount of which can be attributed to Caitlin Clark, who took the basketball world by storm after an all-time college career.
For a brief brief moment, it seemed to be working. Attendance soared, and TV ratings shattered previous records. But rather than rolling out the red carpet, Clark was greeted with elbows, confrontational attitude, and outright hostility from the very start.
Caitlin Clark out at least 2 weeks waited, but can the WNBA maintain without her? Can the WNBA pack arenas draw ratings?
Caitlin Clark, somebody who was responsible for 26.5 of all WNBA economic activity last season, including revenue from merchandise, ticket sales, and television.
From the moment she stepped onto the court as a pro, it went beyond just basketball. It became intensely personal. Every game felt like a brutal test. Defenders weren't simply guarding her. They were throwing elbows and throwing her around as if it were UFC fight night. She faced full court pressure, illegal screens, and rough contact more suited for rugby than basketball. And where were the referees? Absent in the chaos. Fouls that would have earned a whistle for any other elite player were ignored for Clark. Time and again, she had to grit her teeth and soldier on, enduring the relentless assault.
Referees just exposed their hand so bad, bro. I mean, they just didn't care no more. They didn't care. The world was watching how bad the cause was. They didn't care at all. They was going to get their issue off against the Fever no matter what. And I'm here to tell you, that's exactly what went down, bro. They have an agenda against Caitlin Clark.
Meanwhile, the league keeps sprouting the same worn-out excuse. She just needs to adapt. But why is it always her responsibility to change? Why is Caitlin Clark the only star told to toughen up while everyone else is shielded like priceless treasures? Then, the injury struck. After logging massive minutes, sometimes over 35 alone in one night, Caitlin was officially sidelined with a left quad strain, forced to take at least 2 weeks off.
He said the reason that people are complaining is because they haven't watched the WNBA before, and these are just new fans who don't understand. But there's clearly
It wasn't merely a setback. It was a devastating blow to the Indiana Fever and a huge blow to the entire WNBA. For many fans, it didn't seem like just a random injury. It felt like the inevitable consequence of neglect, a culmination of a season's worth of unchecked aggression, and a league that failed to protect the one player keeping the spotlight shining.
Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark has suffered a left quadricep strain and will be out for a minimum of 2 weeks.
This wasn't an unavoidable twist of fate. It was a preventable catastrophe. What made it even more painful? The oppressive silence. The league refused to speak about the brutal treatment Caitlin Clark had faced. No statements, no apologies, just another name on the injury roster. But this wasn't just any name. It was the face of the WNBA's new era. Benched, not because she couldn't handle the pressure, but because the very system designed to protect her willingly looked the other way.
The Caitlin Clark disrespect. And what I mean by that is you've got somebody who is obviously the most popular player in basketball. You got somebody that I would argue may be a top 5 most popular athlete in the United States of America. All right. You got this athlete in a league that nobody's been watching, never turned a profit, and your system is broken against that.
Even players on the court sensed the problem. Kelsey Mitchell, Clark's teammate, subtly urged her to listen to her body's signals, a quiet acknowledgement that Caitlin was enduring pain most would refuse to ignore. Fans picked up on it. Media outlets spotlighted the signs. And now, the burning question remains. Why was the league's brightest star left so vulnerable? Who benefits from her absence?
Take care of your body and just make sure you... I think recovery is everything. I think if you're in tune to your body, you know what you need. This is Caitlin.
Kelsey Mitchell said even if there is a injury, hopefully it's just, like a little nagging thing. And again,
a closer look at the WNBA's officiating uncovers a disturbing truth. The referees aren't just inexperienced, they're underqualified. Some have jumped straight from high school courts into the WNBA, skipping vital developmental steps such as college or the NBA G League. These aren't veteran officials with years of expertise. They're often still honing their skills while calling the league's most high-stakes games to date. This glaring lack of experience becomes even more evident when managing the league's most talked-about player, Caitlin Clark.
And they do not talk about it here. And that's why I also don't want us to personally attack some of these referees. I think they're doing their job. If they're hiring referees who basically didn't have any experience but high school refereeing jobs, and then they did a stint in the G League, like these referees actually aren't. I gained and reconfirmed with myself that...
But the rabbit hole runs even deeper. These officials aren't making decisions based solely on their judgment. Behind the scenes, a competition committee influences how games are officiated. This committee, made up of coaches, general managers, and stakeholders, not impartial officials, has a vested interest in certain results. This isn't just speculation. League insiders have confirmed it in interviews. Referees are being told which level of physicality to allow, which fouls to overlook, and what style of play best fits the league's branding, regardless of what's truly fair.
For stakeholders, coaches, governors, and general managers, and that is saying what style of basketball they want to allow, and the referees are following.
Caitlin Clark's arrival shakes up this carefully maintained system. She brings a fresh pace, draws unmatched media frenzy, and shines a spotlight that unsettles the established order. Her energetic, fast-paced style conflicts with the rougher, slower, more physical game that the committee appears to prefer. As a result, she endures unfair punishments on the court, penalties that she doesn't deserve, all while lacking the protection she rightfully should have.
I thought she got fouled. I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games.
It took us halfway through the season. This year, it took us 4 games for Stephanie White to say, I've had enough.
Fouls and contact that would instantly draw whistles in the NBA or college games are simply ignored here. No calls, no accountability, just overwhelming silence. When Caitlin tries to get answers from the officials, she's met with apathy. This isn't just suspicion. The bias is embedded in the system itself.
See what's happening right here. That is a WNBA referee turning his back to Caitlin Clark and the Fever. Oh my God. I mean, he literally got his back turned, ignoring Caitlin. I mean, this is...
Again and again, Clark faces unpunished hits, while her minor touches lead to quick fouls. Coach Stephanie White tried to challenge one such call during a pivotal game, only to be blocked by a vague rule. Since she didn't have a full timeout, only a reset. The officials stay protected behind these confusing rules. Clark, however, bears the brunt. This tangled system of enforcement doesn't just cost games, it chips away at the players' trust and integrity of the game itself.
I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. And I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes. And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. This
isn't just about isolated mistakes or bad calls. It exposes a broken system where referees are influenced not by the principles of fairness or integrity, but by hidden agendas. Caitlin Clark isn't just facing defenders. She's being targeted by a system eager to manipulate the narrative, prioritizing control over protecting its most valuable star.
Draw in your league. The only player capable of selling tickets is potentially out for an extended period of time. What the hell are you going?
The more details emerge, the more obvious it becomes. This officiating crisis isn't mere happenstance. It's a calculated effort. While the league tries to brush it aside, the mounting backlash can't be ignored. Fans aren't the only ones speaking out. Players, coaches, and analysts across the country are openly condemning the biased officiating, with Caitlin Clark firmly at the heart of the outrage. This isn't about seeking special treatment or favoritism.
And I understand. The frustration that I think comes the most with officiating is the inconsistencies of officiating. But listen, this is not unique to the WNBA.
When officials repeatedly ignore obvious fouls on a superstar capturing record-breaking attention, calls for accountability grow louder. One of the most talked about incidents happened during the Fever versus Liberty clash. With the game on the line, Clark attacked the basket and was unmistakably fouled by Natasha Cloud. The contact was so clear that replays from every angle verified it. Yet no whistle, no call. The game was decided in silence.
All right, when that foul took place, CBS said, she's got a challenge left. Well, it didn't matter. She couldn't use it. Stephanie White could not challenge that foul call on Lexi Hull, the one that led to the game-winning free throws from Sabrina Ionescu, because she didn't have a timeout. You need a full timeout, not a reset timeout, to initiate the challenge. Now, my issue with that is it would have been nice if the CBS announcers hadn't even brought up the challenge.
Clark and her teammates quickly approached the officials, demanding answers, but were met with silence. The officials just walked away, sending an unmistakable message, not just to Clark, but to everyone watching. The whistle doesn't sound equally for all, and this wasn't an isolated event. Earlier, Coach Stephanie White attempted to challenge a dubious foul on Lexi Hull, only to be blocked because she didn't have a full timeout. League rules, in effect, tied her hands, trapping her in a system engineered to shield officials from accountability.
Clearly a problem. If it's not just one team, also, by the way, it's not just the Indiana Fever. I know it's been the biggest story this week. Brittany Griner left a sideline interview to go yell at the ref.
Players are left exposed and vulnerable, while referees hide behind procedural loopholes. Frustration has now spilled beyond Indiana's borders. Brittany Griner halted a live halftime interview to passionately criticize the officials on national TV. Other coaches have labeled the officiating as outright disrespectful during post-game press conferences. These are not just emotional outbursts, they're calculated critiques. Athletes and coaches are emphasizing that the rules are being applied inconsistently, disrupting the flow and rhythm of the game. Meanwhile, the WNBA seems indifferent, dismissing the mounting criticism as mere growing pains from new fans, unfamiliar with the league's gritty style. But the core issue isn't physicality, it's the inconsistency. The moment Caitlin Clark steps on the court, it's like the rulebook shifts. She's officiated differently, subjected to harsher challenges, and when she pushes through, officials often turn a blind eye to the physical toll until her body cannot go on.
Did notice in the Liberty game, Caitlin Clark's shots were all very short, so it was showing that she wasn't like getting off, and she was having a difficult time making those threes, and a lot of explosiveness from those three-point shots does come from your...
Now, sidelined by a quad injury, Caitlin Clark stands as the living symbol of a controversy that refuses to fade. Those speaking out aren't merely defending her, they're exposing a culture that encourages silence and punishes true excellence. Clark never asked for special favors. She simply demanded the standard every player deserves. But the more she rises above, the greater the opposition she faces, not only from opponents, but from a system that was supposed to protect her. The backlash isn't diminishing. It's growing stronger because the league underestimated the power of a star determined to challenge the status quo.
Obviously, Caitlin's carrying a lot on her shoulders. A big star that is coming to a lot of these buildings.
Had appeared in 185 consecutive games between her career at Iowa and her time with the Indiana Fever. 139 games with the Iowa Hawkeyes. She never missed one.
Fans are no longer just spectators. They've become scrutinizers. The WNBA had a once-in-a-generation chance to reinvent itself around Caitlin Clark, a star who didn't just join the league but ignited it. She packed arenas, shattered viewership records, and drew in a new wave of passionate fans eager to believe in the product. Yet instead of riding her wave to new heights, the league seems to be faltering, clinging to outdated power structures while ignoring an undeniable truth. The fans see everything. They watched her being thrown to the floor with no recourse. They observed officials huddle and then walk away, turning a blind eye. They noticed the scoreboard shift, not because the better team won, but because someone in stripes chose to look away. Now, these fans aren't just furious. They're organizing, strategizing, demanding change. Legal pressures are mounting. Media outlets are digging deeper. Conversations that once stayed behind closed doors are now splashed across headlines. The entire system is coming under scrutiny, exposed like never before.
At the same time, the Fever were on the wrong end of some whistles, it seemed, in this game, and it's seemingly been that way for much of the season, and it's been a recurring theme where there's a level of physicality allowed against them, and they're not allowed to reciprocate on the other end. That particularly, of course, goes for Caitlin.
For too many years, the WNBA's accountability has been kept behind closed doors. Referees answer to secretive committees. Those committees respond to powerful stakeholders, and no one directly accountable to the fans or the public. But that system was shattered the moment Clark's rise into the spotlight illuminated its flaws. She never sought out controversy. She never aimed to become the face of a movement. Yet, when the game's whistles grew silent and aggressive, plays went unpunished, the league inadvertently turned her into that symbol. Today, every questionable call, every unjust foul, and every vital no call fires a blaze that's impossible to contain. This isn't about favoring one player. It's about safeguarding the sport's core integrity. What's unfolding with Caitlin Clark sends a resounding message to every young girl and aspiring athlete. Even if you shatter records and make history, the system might turn against you if you shine too brightly. That's not fair. It's broken. And if the league continues to neglect its responsibility to protect star players, it risks losing the very talent that drives the game forward. Injury after injury, controversy after controversy, the gaps in fairness grow wider. If the WNBA refuses to critically assess its officiating hierarchy and the covert influences shaping the game, lawsuits could be just the start of a much larger reckoning. This issue isn't going away. Caitlin Clark's supporters see it, the media won't stay silent, and the truth is already making waves. The real question now, Will the league take action before it's too late? Thanks for tuning in. Remember to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you stay ahead of the story. Click the video on your screen, and I'll see you in the next update.